the opposition spokesman on housing, Mr. Professor, he's a professor, Floyd Morris, he put out
is a release from the
he put out this.
People's National Party Media Unit.
I am Professor Floyd Morris, opposition spokesperson on housing and sustainable living.
I think what Mr. Morris is irate about is the word vulgar. You know, the word vulgar seemed to be what offends Mr. Morris. He's offended. Let's hear what he has to say.
And I wish to just reject and condemn the assertion that the comments made by the leader of the opposition about stopping the annual extraction of $11.4 billion from the NHT is vulgar.
You know, I tell you the truth, it is fascinating, you know. It's fascinating. The politics in Jamaica is dramatic. It is dramatic. I tell you the truth. It's not even serious sometimes. The man is what offends Mr. Morris is that Mr. Apka Fitzhenley said that the opposition leader was vulgar. No, I had to today go and figure out what vulgar means. I'll tell you about it shortly. Listen to Mr. Floyd Morris again. Go ahead.
Condemn the assertion that the comments made by the leader of the opposition about stopping the annual extraction of $11.4 billion from the NHT is vulgar. The fact of the matter is that the government itself has embarked upon a vulgar extraction.
It is the word that offends Professor Morris. It is. He keeps repeating this word vulgar, you know, as if that's all Mr. Fitzhenley said. Vulgar. What is so vulgar? You know something, I can't contain myself. Let me take a break. All right, let's coming back there, listeners. All right, let's keep that and all right. So let's go back to Mr. Floyd Morris and his offense of Mr. Henley's use of the word vulgar.
Of $11.4 billion over the past 10 years from the NHT without building affordable houses for the contributors of this organization that was established specifically for that purpose. The vulgar extraction.
The man continues. But I tell you, listen again to Mr. Fitzhenley. Mr. Henley.
Mark Golden says it's ridiculous that the government continues taking billions of dollars annually out of the NHT when so many Jamaicans remain unable to afford a home.
So you can imagine how disappointing it is when they table the revenue measures that they plan to extend that for a further 5 years. Now I have to ask, doesn't Jamaica have a critical problem with affordable housing? Aren't Jamaican people, especially young people, struggling to find a way of acquiring their own home? The NHT is the vehicle that should be doing that.
Senator Fitzhenley is rejecting the criticism.
Golding's comments are disingenuous, and I tell you why. The former PNP administration began the drawdowns from the NHT to make up for a deficit occasioned by the bad management of the Jamaican economy, which involved crisis after crisis, including the Finsack debacle. Now, we've had a natural disaster, Hurricane Melissa, which has accounted for approximately 40% of GDP, and Golding is suggesting that time be called on these drawdowns. His arguments are specious, diabolical, lack credibility, and obviously a vulgar political statement.
Senator Fitzhenley, State Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, says Golding's criticism is opportunistic.
Golding understands that if the drawdowns from the NHT are suspended at this time, that would mean a major deficit in the budget, one, or would attract additional new taxes. Therefore, his attempt to use the demands of a crisis, a natural disaster, to score political points is unfortunate, but it is consistent with his general approach to politics. It is the kind of politics that the people of Jamaica said no to on the 3rd of September.
Senator Fitzhenley says while more work remains to be done, the government has done much to allow more Jamaicans to realize their dream of home ownership.
The administration of Dr. Holness has built the most houses across our terms in office than any administration in the history of Jamaica. That cannot be contested. However, we are not satisfied, and the NHT, the HAJ, and the various housing agencies understand that it is their mandate to expand and intensify the number of housing solutions which are made available to Jamaicans. So work is taking place because we are sensitive to the needs of the Jamaican people.
Maureen Buchanan for Nationwide News.
All right, there you have Mr. Fitzhenley. Now, Mr. Morris, count how many times he uses the word vulgar. Let's count.
Professor Floyd Morris, opposition spokesperson on housing and sustainable living. And I wish to just reject and condemn the assertion that the comments made by the leader of the opposition about stopping the annual extraction of $11.4 billion from the NHT is vulgar. The fact of...
This man is a professor, you know. He's a professor. Well, you know, quite an academic achievement by a man who is visually impaired. But Mr. Morris, come on. So that's one vulgar. Let's go.
The matter is that the government itself has embarked upon a vulgar
that's two.
Extraction of $11.4 billion over the past 10 years from the NHT without building affordable houses for the contributors of this organization that was established specifically for that purpose. The vulgar
three
extraction of $114 billion and the proposal to continue the extraction of another $57 billion for the next 5 years. That is what is vulgar and must be condemned by the people of Jamaica. It must be rejected in the strongest form because the Prime Minister in 2013 supported the move by a surrogate to take the then government to court, saying that what was happening with the extraction of the $11.4 billion then was illegal and should not be condoned. And the Prime Minister, now opposition leader then, pledged that he was going to ring-fence the funds at the NHT so that nobody could take it out and use it for purposes than which it was intended. But now we see the hypocrisy taking place where the Prime Minister himself, because the housing portfolio falls under the Prime Minister, and he has continued, he has presided over the annual extraction of this $11.4 billion for 10 years and is proposing for another 5 years. If that isn't hypocritical, if that is not vulgar, I don't know what else is. And furthermore, what is vulgar is the fact that the NHT is celebrating its 50th anniversary. And the Prime Minister...
No, hold on. Mr. Professor, no, Professor is now becoming a little bit unprofessor. When I get a word there. That's not being professorial, you know, because you are now using the word vulgar out of context. You are so hung up on vulgar that you are now taking it out of the context in which it was used. Great Professor Morris. He has more. He gone 6 already. A bit too vulgar.
Who has carriage for the NHT has not come out and uttered one word, one sentence, one paragraph about this institution that has been one of the most consequential institutions in the history of Jamaica, because it has changed the landscape, changed the face of housing for Jamaicans over the past 50 years. That, Mr. Prime Minister, that, Mr. Fitzgerald, is what is vulgar.
It was a presentation about the word vulgar. Not a thing. The professor was not speaking about responding to Mr. Fitzgerald. All he was interested in is saying the word vulgar. 7 times. 7 times. He called the word what a vulgar what a vulgar professor. Anyway, my moderator wants to say something. Good evening to you again, moderator.
Yes, hi. Good evening, listeners. For those who are just joining us, could you please press that white arrow at the bottom and then that yellow circle and repost? So I am actually watching the screen and I'm asking everyone to please repost. It's important. Press that white arrow, then that yellow circle. Thank you so much.
Thank you to moderator. Well, the what does vulgar mean? Vulgar, not vulgar or bulla. Vulgar. The word vulgar traditionally means lacking refinement or good taste. You're vulgar, eh? Vulgar can mean crude, offensive, or indecent. How you so vulgar? You know, in ordinary usage, simply common or ordinary, you know, common people use that word. But in modern political speech, when someone's called something vulgar, they usually mean it is morally offensive, excessive, or insensitive. Not literally obscene, but inappropriate in tone or scale. So when the opposition spokesperson describes 11.4 billion drawdown from the National Housing Trust as vulgar, the rhetorical intent is likely this: that is, it is excessive, it is morally objectionable, it shows disregard for housing contributors. It is insensitive in light of housing needs. That is the moral framing of it. To say that is vulgar. That is what he would need. But is it actually vulgar? Is it actually vulgar to, is Professor Morrison not overreaching here to call it vulgar? Is the drawdown excessive? Is it morally objectionable, Professor? Does it show disregard for housing contributors? And is it insensitive? Now, here is the crux of the matter. If it is vulgar now, was it vulgar then? When the PNP drew it down, was it vulgar? Because vulgarity does not only apply here, it would have to apply there too. Anyway, you know what? Let me not even spend too much time on the professor. Listen to Ian Hales. Ian Hales was speaking on the PNP's political campaign. And I didn't know that Ian Hales was a prophet. Well, listen to Mr. Hales. Listen to Hales.
Mark Jefferson Golden, this election is your election. I want you to hear me, you know. This election is the people's election. Mark Jefferson Golden is only a vessel. Mark Jefferson Golden will be your vessel. This is your government. This is your country. This is your country. This is your land. I want to say to you, nobody don't have to tell you to choose nothing because it's on your birth certificate. Born you, come from on you, Jamaica, land we love.
Well, Prophet Hales is about to say something. Don't miss it. Go ahead.
If you give a little more than you take.
So, party leader, the next time you come here, you will be prime minister.
Oh, gosh, good God. No, sir. Listen to him. Listen to Hales.
I declare it tonight in the name of our Father, Lord Jesus Christ.
You see why you have to be careful. Mr. Hales has declared in the name of our Father, the Lord Jesus Christ, that the next time Mark Golding returned to Westmoreland, he would be. You see why? You see? Moderator, please. I can't manage myself. Let me take a little break. I'll come right back.
God have mercy upon us. God have mercy upon us. God have mercy upon us.
The next time you come here, you will be prime minister. So, party leader, the next time you come here, you will be prime minister. I declare it tonight in the name of our Father, Lord Jesus Christ, and see my vilify, they will vilify Mark Golding. Party leader, the next time you come here, you will be prime minister. I declare it tonight in the name of our Father, Lord Jesus Christ, and see.
You know, but I tell you something, Mr. Hale is it's comical, you know. Mr. Hales made a prophecy that the next time Mark Golding touch Westmoreland, he'll be prime minister. You know what touch Westmoreland? Hurricane Hurricane Melissa, blow it away. Blow away the prophecy from Mr. Hales. Poor Mr. Hales. You know why I play that? Play it one more time. Play it one more time. Play it again.
In the name of our Father, Lord, next time you, party leader, the next time you come here, you will be prime minister. I declare it tonight in the name of our Father, Lord Jesus Christ, and see my.
God have mercy upon us.
All right. Now, here is the prophet that declared that Mark Golding would be prime minister in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. You know who is prime minister now. Here is him explaining the taxes. This is Hales.
So lucky you have been calling me and asking me. Western Westmoreland, good morning to you. So, you know, anytime in this country when you have the rich man a ball out and the poor man a ball out for the same thing, something is wrong. So lucky you have been calling me and asking me to explain, Mr. Hales, what is this tax package? Explain it to me more. Break it down so I can understand it. What is this tax package the government coming with or proposing to the people of Jamaica now? So on the campaign trail of last year, you heard me out there day in and day out explaining to the people the high cost of living in this country, Jamaica land we love. And on the other side, you heard, don't stop the prosperity, third term loading, and something have been loading. And that's the high taxes you will now pay. So I'm going to do a simple breakdown so each and every one of you understand it. So let's say you leave work after work and you decide to have a drink. You decide to have, you know, a little white rum and Pepsi, or white rum and Coke, or you drink white rum with whatever. You're in the line to pay some more taxes also. If you deal with your stress by smoking a little cigarette or going to a party and enjoying yourself and smoking the cigarette, you're in the line to be taxed.
Okay, so if you drink rum, you're going to get a little tax. If you smoke, you're going to pay a little tax. Oh boy.
Also, if your kids go to school and they buy a drinks from the canteen or the...
By the way, as funny as this is, coming from a legislator, Mr. Hales is a legislator. And it appears as if Mr. Hales is, as a legislator, as a lawmaker, is encouraging smoking as a means of relieving stress. You see the quality leadership that we would have been getting? This man is a legislator. I mean, he thinks it's a joke, you know. But think about the ethics of what Hills is doing here. Think about the ethics of it. What if the Prime Minister had said something like this? Encouraging people to drink rum and smoke. You know, that's smoking. You want to smoke, you smoke. That's a choice you make. But think of Mr. Hales's reasoning. And if it doesn't concern you, then boy, I tell you.
Buy a drinks from the vendor outside the school gate. You're in the line to so. If your kids go to school and they buy a drinks from the canteen or they buy a drinks from the vendor outside the school gate, you're in the line to pay more taxes. To anything that is sweet, when we know sour, you'll be paying more taxes.
Anything that is sweet is now going to be sour. So here is Mr. Hales again, suggesting that people should give their children sweet juice. Well, if this is not, you know, Mr. Well, I tell you, I suspect that if this was a country where we take things very seriously, Mr. Hales probably would have to resign, you know. A legislator is coming on media to encourage parents to give them pick-me sweet juice, as people must go smoke to ease them stress and drink white rum. Wow. Amazing stuff. Oh boy.
If it is that you work for the government and you're a civil servant, and first let me say you don't get the matching pay as your counterpart in the private sector. So the concession was an incentive. You'll be now paying more for that vehicle also. So you're in the line to pay more taxes also. If it is that you ship a barrel in this country to your family and you're overseas, wherever you are, anything you ship in this country now, you're in the line to pay more taxes now also. If you have your little small business in Jamaica and you use Amazon to import stuff in the country, you're in the line to pay more taxes also. If you do your little hustling, your little higgler thing, and you travel on a plane and you go to Panama, you come back, you'll be paying more taxes also. I want to move to the tourism sector.
Enough of that. It's enough of that. Moderator, I have a little bit more time. I see in the chat where I have a guest. Hello.
Yes, neighbor, you have several.
Who is on? Before I pick up Harry, who is it?
1 second, please. Neighbor, I think they're all tappers, you know.
Oh. I did see somebody in the chat saying they want to come up to explain something. That's okay. All right, caller. If you want to come, let me know so that I can take you before I go back to I take a part.
What is the name? Because I probably missed it.
Let me see if I can find it. All right. There's so much of them here. I have to scroll all the way back up here and see if I pick it up. I don't know. I don't know. All right. No, it's Mr.
Is that Antenna asking for you to take up Garfman to explain?
Garfman.
Yeah.
Garfman is in the. Garfman is there.
I don't know, but I see where Antenna was asking you to take him up.
No. It's not that. There was somebody saying that they something about Golden is the greatest or something. All right. Don't pay. All right, it's okay. Just give me a few moments.
Are you ready to take guests?
If Harry's there.
I don't know, but we have Protecting Jamaica and Winston Dawkins.
No, give me a few moments, please.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is this body?
All right. So, Prof. Andre Horton, he ran on a PNP ticket over there in Westmoreland. He's a lecturer at the University of the West Indies. Listen to Mr. Horton.
As you look at it, of about $30 million, 2% of the kind of damage that we saw thanks to Hurricane Melissa, giving us 50 years, if we use this alone, as a way of paying it off. Is this about reconstruction, or is the government using Hurricane Melissa as a convenient political cover to fix the structural deficit they're already facing?
No, listen to that question from the girl, from CVN. I'm going to play it again, and I want you to listen to the way she frames the question. Listen to it.
As a way of paying it off, is this about reconstruction, or is the government?
Is this about reconstruction?
Using Hurricane Melissa,
or is the government using Hurricane Melissa
as a convenient political
cover
to fix the structural deficit
political cover to fix
already facing?
No. Jesus Christ. No, sir. Who them, sir? Who them? What the girl is saying, is that the government is being deceptive, that the government is using the hurricane as a political cover to fix. Moderator.
Yes, neighbor.
Please, let me get Harry, please. Let me get Harry. This is a shocking piece of. It's actually an embarrassment. Can I speak to him?
Yes, and we have Scratchy as well.
Yes. No, sir. It is. I tell you, this country is going to struggle. Man. This country is going to struggle. That's why the labor rights. That's why the labor rights want us to play this. The labor rights want us to play this. Go ahead. Equal rights and justice is our everlasting song. Unity and progress will make our nation strong. Stand up for your rights. When you hear the bell, stand up, Jamaica, hear the freedom bell. Remember Bustamante, he served you well. Stand up, Jamaica, when you hear the bell. I tell you, stand up for justice. When you hear the freedom bell, stand up, Jamaica. Remember Bustamante, he served you well. Stand up, stand up, stand up, Jamaica. I tell you, what a fascinating country this is. What a fascinating, and what a fight. What a fight we have on our hand. Hello there, Harry.
Night neighbor, it's and Garfman.
Harry, listen to this lady here. Listen to her.
Look at it, of about $30 million, 2% of the kind of damage that we saw thanks to Hurricane Melissa, giving us 50 years if we use this alone as a way of paying it off. Is this about reconstruction, or is the government using Hurricane Melissa as a convenient political cover to fix the structural deficit they're already facing?
No,
Harry, what is this girl saying?
Well, neighbor, there are two things to point out, right? For one, clearly she didn't listen to what was put forward by Minister Favour, or she wouldn't have started the question in that way. Because it is not for reconstruction. It was stated, not implied, stated. So how she started the question let you know that she had a narrative to push and something she had to squeeze in the minds of Jamaicans when asking the question. Or rather, from my end, it is a statement disguised as a question, because it's a loaded question with an answer implied but disguised as a question altogether.
Yeah, very disappointing. Well, listen to Andre, and remember Andre he ran on a PNP ticket in the last election.
Let's put things into context. You're talking about last year we had about a 40% fall off in GDP, which would have contributed to them not receiving as much taxes as they would have hoped for. So that's one case. The other case is that the Hurricane Melissa caused a $8 billion damage, which the recovery also has to be paid for. So we're faced with a situation where do we borrow the entire amount and put pressure on our fiscal rules, put pressure on our fiscal stance, put pressure on the debt to GDP trajectory that we want to maintain? Or do we try our best to implement some sort of short-term tax measures to cover that situation? And I think that the government cleverly crafted this particular tax revenue measures in such a way as to not to harm regular consumption of goods and services by the average Jamaican, but to deter the use of quote unquote certain goods and services that they think are not congruent to a long-term health-oriented economy. And I've been looking at it, and the key here is that we have to balance our ability to garner new taxes with our ability to keep our debt at a particular level. And I think that's where they went with this.
Harry?
Yes, neighbor.
Andre is a member of the People's National Party. But Andre sounds pretty reasonable there.
Neighbor, that was the economist of Andre Horton, not the People's National Party representative.
Uh-huh. And therefore, the point I want to make is that we should listen to the experts and not the echo chambers.
Exactly. Right. And the thing I can definitely credit him for is to set aside his party affiliations and looking at the situation at hand objectively.
But sadly, the host or the journalist there wasn't able to do that.
Well, neighbor, the journalist is there to try and spew something with a narrative, right? She's not there really and truly to unearth the true economical, factual information from Mr. Horton. And she was actually hoping that he would have gone down the side of agreeing with her statement.
Yeah. So the point really, Harry, is that the economists, Damian King, Andre Horton, Joseph Cox, have all been very, very, positive about these moves. Your background there, though, Harry. You want some time?
Let me just double check, neighbor. I think it's the fan that would have been blowing in. You hearing me better?
Yeah. Yes, I'm hearing you a little bit better.
Okay.
What I'm saying to you, Harry, is that the experts have been very, very, very positive about the numbers, but the politicians, the surrogates, no. This is a little hard for me, Harry. Let's take a break and come back to Harry here. The noise. Scratchy, good night. How you doing?
Good night, neighbor. Good night, viewers and everyone. Harry, Caroline, everyone. Good night, sir.
Harry, Scratchy, beyond the politics, is it not time, or in this season, do you think it is possible for us to move beyond politics like Andre Horton did there on CVM?
I mean, definitely, neighbor. We have to move beyond the politics, neighbor, and I think we also have to understand, neighbor, that I mean this is also a PNP problem, neighbor. PNP are very difficult, neighbor, to differentiate between the People's National Party and the opposition, and I think that is where the problem is, neighbor. We must neighbor reach at a level where we can move beyond just the politics, neighbor.
Yeah. But is it not commendable that a former candidate he ran against Marlene Malahou for 2 times? He lost. But listen how reasoned he is as a professional, as an economist, speaking to the facts, Scratchy. This is not politics at this time. Why is it that it is so difficult for people like, for the opposition to not move beyond politics towards reality? We are facing a challenge, Scratchy. Couldn't that be acknowledged for once by the opposition?
Definitely, neighbor, and I think it will do more good than bad for them, neighbor. If the opposition should came out, neighbor, and not acknowledge to Jamaicans that yes, we are now coming out of a disaster. This tax package after coming off for 10 years of no new taxes. This tax package, neighbor, is definitely relevant, for the benefit of our country and to know that all of us can move forward. And it's just sad, neighbor, to know that we have an opposition that is just stuck on can only see politics, and this has always been the PNP style, neighbor. PNP can never differentiate, neighbor, from being the opposition or being government and the political party. They always try to be political.
Let me ask you a question, Scratchy. Do you not think that in this moment, as we are looking towards the 2026-27 budget, that Jamaica stands at a real crossroad, Scratchy? Because isn't there 2 distinct paths that the government and the opposition are putting before us right now? One is putting before us fiscal prudence, which is a combination of taxes, borrowing, and continuing to draw the money down from the NHT. And the other party is saying, none of those. We will borrow the money. Isn't this a crossroad that has defined these two parties at this moment, Scratchy? If we were looking for any ideological difference, don't we see it here now that the PNP is a party that would be fiscally reckless?
Definitely, neighbor. If you look at the People's National Party, neighbor, I know the People's National Party operate whenever they're in government, neighbor. The People's National Party, neighbor, is a political organization, neighbor, that whenever it's time for budget to form, neighbor, and not just our budget, neighbor, they always think just for that specific moment and that specific time. Meanwhile, in contrast, neighbor, now the Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, is more of a forward-thinking government. Yes, this is budget is a cycle, 2026, 2027, neighbor, but the Jamaica Labour Party is not just thinking about the 2026, 2027 budget cycle, neighbor. And when you look at it, neighbor, if I should even put it in further context, I don't hear none of the economics or any of the political analysts on radios and TV saying this, neighbor. This is not just $28 billion that the government is borrowing, neighbor. So they're just looking at it and saying this, yes, we're going to borrow $28 billion. Yes, we're going to borrow we're going to tax $28 billion for this first period, neighbor, 2026, 2027. But you must also take in consideration, neighbor, that this is over a 5-year period where the government might be here. So it's $140 billion over a 5-year period. So, neighbor, if you should go to the market and borrow that over a 5-year period, neighbor, that would definitely add about 4 or 5%, neighbor, to our debt to GDP ratio again, neighbor. So it wouldn't help us, neighbor, in bringing down our debt to GDP ratio. It wouldn't help us, neighbor, in having, it would cause some type of unease in terms of persons, our ability to repay back this loan and stuff like that. So I think people just have to understand, neighbor, and they don't need to be more understanding that this is not just $28 billion that we're asking to borrow. This is over a 5-year period. The next election is 2020-30, neighbor. So it is possible, neighbor, that this might be over a 5-year period. It might be $140 billion over a 5-year period, not just $28 billion. So we have to just understand, neighbor, that yes, it might look like small, it's saying $28 billion, but it is not $28 billion, neighbor. Because whatever that $28 billion does in 2026, 2027, neighbor, that $28 billion is going to be needed for 27, 28, 28, 29, and 29, 30. It is going to be needed because you can't just remove it back from the budget and then you don't know how to plug it. So it's $140 billion in reality, neighbor. And the government chose, neighbor, to say, okay, instead of borrowing this money, we're going to ask that all Jamaicans chip in and play a part. Syntax, sweetened drinks, cigarettes, alcoholic beverage, stuff like that. Those are things that are not necessary to life. Those are things that we can live without and we can do without, you know? So I think, neighbor, it is definitely, neighbor, for the opposition to just understand and be realistic and come to the fore and just understand with the people and be fair and frank and just understand for the first in our life, just try to choose Jamaica instead of choosing the People's National Party. As I said before, neighbor, the People's National Party, neighbor, is only looking at 2026, 2027 budget cycle, neighbor. They are not looking at 27, 28, 28, 29, and 29, 30. They are not. And this is the reason why the Jamaica Labour Party made this announcement where they said that by 2031, neighbor, they can stop the drawdown of the NHT. Because if you look at where the economy is right now, neighbor, what we have lost as a result of Hurricane Melissa, I mean, projection has been made that by 2030 we should be back on our feet. So if we can make up back for all of these lost revenues by 2030, this additional $28 billion now, neighbor, can be used, neighbor, to foot that $11 billion that we continue to take from NHT. So that's why 2031 the government said that we don't need that anymore. And we have to look at how you borrow money, neighbor. As an economist or you're in government, neighbor, you borrow money in a way where if there's a shortfall, neighbor, in revenues, you cannot borrow money to fill shortfalls in revenues, neighbor. You have to tax that. You have to go to your market and say to your citizens, we're going to levy some new taxes on persons. Just bear with us because you're making up shortfall in revenues. No, if you're going to introduce growth-induced projects, neighbor, projects that lead to growth and development, then you can also go to the market and borrow in that way. But the government cannot borrow, neighbor, because the government is putting shortfalls. Where if we borrow it, neighbor, it won't be something where we're reaping any profit offer. It is something where we're plugging holes where we have losses. So you cannot borrow that way, neighbor. Cannot borrow. You only borrow money, neighbor. It don't make sense to borrow money if you're going to introduce things that can grow the economy and things that we can make a profit from. And in this case, neighbor, it is not that. The government is putting shortfalls from Hurricane Melissa. So it is not in the best interest of the country, neighbor, to go and borrow that money.
You have just placed on the table a number of very technical issues, Scratchy. which the ordinary Joe may not clearly understand. Now, here you have an opposition making up noise, seem absent from reality. It's a tug of war. The budget is not yet read, but the opposition is in the market making up a lot of noise. In a country where there is large civic illiteracy, that noise will have an impact. I don't blame the people. Is it not a disgrace, Scratchy? Is it not something to be condemned? That when you listen to the experts, they are telling you the government is on the right path. But when you listen to the politicians from the PNP, they are saying, they are casting and placing in the people's mind that somehow the government is doing them an injustice. Is this not something that I believe that more Jamaicans should come out to condemn this PNP about, Scratchy? Isn't this an unpatriotic thing that the PNP is involved in at this time?
Very, very unpatriotic, neighbor. You made a wonderful point, neighbor. More Jamaicans, neighbor, need to come out, neighbor, and condemn the opposition, neighbor, for its behavior and its rhetoric, neighbor. This is why opposition can get away, neighbor, with all of these things, because well-thinking Jamaicans, neighbor, tend to stay silent. And these issues, you know, they prefer to go in the back room or go in a room and talk about the good, but they're afraid to come publicly and say to the opposition, you're throwing the country off track. You're trying to cause some form of chaos. You're coming with fear mongering amongst our citizens. And this is not right. This is not like any other tax packages that the country used to or used from the opposition, neighbor. This is a totally different type of tax package. And what the opposition is trying to do, neighbor, they are only playing politics. Because what they're trying to say now is, I told you that it's over a 5-year period. So what they're trying to say to the government is what? Why did the government borrow the money right now? Borrow the government in the second year, in their second year of the political cycle. But we have to understand, neighbor, that everything that they do affect the government must, neighbor, put the taxes on the backs of Jamaicans. No, you're not going to be a government, neighbor, and you try to come with any taxes in the 3rd year or the 4th year of your term to cause any problem in case you should have an election cycle down the line. You're going to make sure that you put this on a level, neighbor, where it is balanced at first. And we have to just understand that, neighbor, the People's National Party, neighbor, all they can see is orange and green. And it is just so sad, neighbor, that you have so many well-thinking Jamaicans, so many Jamaicans who know better, neighbor, but they rather chose to remain silent and let the opposition rhetoric comes up here as if it has any fruit or any bearing, because it seems very louder, and it might be not gaining any form of traction amongst well-thinking persons, but gaining traction amongst the persons who support the opposition. You have to come out and talk more about it.
You know mongrel dogs, Scratchy?
Yes, neighbor, I'm very familiar with mongrels.
And they bark a lot, you know, but they don't have no use, you know.
No use.
And I'm not calling anybody mongrels here, please. I'm not calling anybody mongrel. I just want it to be clear. But the bark is loud, Scratchy. But it's not who bark the loudest, you know, Scratchy. Is who can carry us forward when words must be turned into work, Scratchy. When sentiments must be turned into systems that serve us well. And I'm asking you to double down on this a little bit more, Scratchy. That this to me it requires a louder voice from the Jamaica Labour Party, yes, and from the citizens of Jamaica to say, how can an opposition be in the marketplace telling the people that the government should not do something, that the government really, it's almost that the government have no other alternatives, Scratchy, especially in a country, Scratchy, where you know that our people can be led astray easily. Is this not irresponsible from the opposition at this time?
Very, very irresponsible, neighbor. Very, very irresponsible, neighbor. And again, well-thinking Jamaicans, neighbor, the party itself can come out and speak, but the party, neighbor, is going to be put in a position where they're just going to feel like, say, yes, the party is just speaking up for themselves or just trying to make things look good on their part. You need well-thinking Jamaicans who have understanding of these issues, neighbor, to come out and speak. Speak, independent persons to come out and speak and say, yes, this is the only move that the government can make right now. The only thing that the government can do right now, the government hands are tied. Hurricane Melissa wipe out almost 40% of our economy from tourism, agriculture, two key sectors of our economy, neighbor. If those two sectors don't grow, the country can't grow. So persons have to come out and break it down to Jamaicans, neighbor, and let Jamaicans understand, let well-thinking Jamaicans understand that, hey guys, this is a must, this is not nothing to fear. This is just affecting persons who drink rum, persons who smoke cigarette, And those things, neighbor, as I said, those are what we call syntax, neighbor. Those are things that we can live without, neighbor. No one life is dependent on Jerry and every neighbor. No one life is dependent on a craving, So persons must understand, neighbor, that whatever is being taxed is not anything, neighbor, that to say, okay, this is something that I have to be, that is a part of my everyday life. This is something that had to do with the advancement of my life, and this tax will definitely affect me in some way, shape, or form. No, it won't, So we have to understand, neighbor, and just try to make persons understand that it's not just tax, but what are the goods that are being taxed, I hear Mr. Yanes earlier and talking about sweet drinks, so your kids who go to school, they're going to suffer, but they're going to pay more because they have to drink it. This might be the time now, neighbor, for us to cut from these sweet drinks, neighbor. This might be a hindrance to cut in sweet drinks, drink more water, drink more juice that are not, with sugar, certain level of sugar content and stuff like that. Because in the long run, neighbor, one of the biggest strain on the health sector, neighbor, because of these type of things, persons who suffer from non-communicable diseases, neighbor. That's one of the biggest strain on our health sector right now. We have young kids, neighbor, who are suffering from diabetes. Those are things that are not normal. That's not a result, neighbor, of the type of food and the sweet drinks that are being offered to those students in schools or at home. So definitely, neighbor, I have no problem with the taxes, neighbor. I don't have to drink any alcoholic beverage, neighbor, and I don't have to smoke a cigarette. So I have no issue with these taxes, neighbor.
Yeah. Finally, for you, Scratchy, you are a man that you have your political ears to the ground. How you think this is playing in Jamaica at this time? Have you been listening to programs online? What are Jamaicans saying about these measures, and how is the opposition's objection to them playing in the public theater?
Definitely, neighbor. I think, neighbor, that a lot of persons, neighbor, who are here barking, neighbor, are definitely persons who are in support of the opposition, neighbor. Those are the persons who are here barking. Persons who have understanding, neighbor, are saying, yes, 10 years, we got a 10-year reprieve from no taxes for 10 years straight. So, if we are asked to come in and chip in and play our part right now, I don't think it's much of an issue. But definitely, neighbor, a lot of persons are barking, but these persons normally support the opposition. And one thing I can say to you, neighbor, this is a very strategic and smart move from the Jamaica Labour Party, which is the current government, neighbor, because if you're going to level tax on persons, neighbor, it is basically do it right now. It is the first year of our election, after just coming out of election in September 3rd. You wouldn't want to introduce any form of taxes in your third year or your fourth year. That could cause you politically at the polls. So I think this first year, neighbor, is a very good time to bring that tax, neighbor. And I think going into the second year, the third year, the fourth year, neighbor, when time this tax person started pay these taxes, it will come in like a norm, neighbor. It is going to come in like the norm. Persons are still going to buy their drink. Persons are still going to buy their cigarette. This is going to come in like a norm after year 1 and year 2, neighbor. Trust me. It's just 9-day one and 9-day talk.
Well, what I can't understand is how are we to pay for the damage that the hurricane left us with? How are we to pay for it? And clearly, if the PNP is suggesting that the government should not do this, then it will have to borrow the money. Is there any other alternative? I think borrowing is their strategy.
That has always been the strategy of the opposition, neighbor, to borrow, neighbor. I tell you, neighbor, the opposition, neighbor, is a political organization that they are not forward-thinking, neighbor. They are someone who just think just for the moment, neighbor. They don't plan. They don't plan ahead, neighbor. And that is why they're the first thing that they can come and say is, go and borrow the money, go and borrow the money. But again, neighbor, as I said, it is not just $28 billion, because if you borrow $28 billion in this fiscal year, 26, 27, neighbor, you're going to have to borrow it again, 27, 28, neighbor, 28, 29, neighbor, and 29, 30. You're going to have to continuously borrow it. And that, neighbor, will definitely add to our debt to GDP ratio. We're trying to bring back down the debt to GDP ratio by 2030, neighbor, to where it was pre-Hurricane Melissa. And if we continue to borrow, neighbor, we're going to miss that target. And that is going to cause problem for us, because we're going to have to pay more money now. More for our money will be going towards taxes, neighbor. So you're going to see less roads being built, less bridges being built, and less capital infrastructure project. We're going to have to be servicing the debt more, neighbor. And adding $140 billion to the debt, neighbor, over a 5-year period is totally nonsense and madness. And the opposition must understand that, neighbor, and be real and understanding, and tell your citizens and tell persons who support your political organization that this is a must, and we must stand with the government on this. Coming from, neighbor, 10 years the government don't put any tax on us, neighbor. 10 long years, neighbor. And if the government should come right now and say that as a result of Hurricane Melissa, please bear with us, Jamaica. We're looking for this, and you're going to get this on your box. Yeah, we all have to just chip in, neighbor. As I said, the goods that the taxes are levied on, neighbor, are goods that are not a part of our everyday life, are goods that we can live without, neighbor. And I can definitely tell you that.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Hold on there for me, Scratchy. Protecting Jamaica.
Yes, neighbor. Good night, Scratchy. Good night, everybody.
I'm going to put a political question to you, Protecting. Can the people of Jamaica have confident faith, trust in the Holness administration that these measures that they are introducing are measures that are measured, yes, that are strategic, are in the best interest of the country? Can Jamaica drown out the voice of the PNP and just focus on the Holness administration? Do you think the administration, they have the interest of the best interest of Jamaicans at heart? And the point I want you to double down on probably is to put that in the context of the criticisms and how Jamaicans are to respond to them.
So the people of Jamaica already knows that they can trust Andrew Holness and the JLP. We are on here and we constantly bring information to the people to give them the assurance that all the government has been doing since it started 10 years ago have been in the best interest of the people. I think the people know that, but this is a time that the government should shore up itself, because we can be out here talking on behalf of the government and the neighbor, but the center of influence has more impact, and that is what I've been talking about for a long time. We need the people who are recognized in the society to be speaking in this regard on behalf of the government. It will bring more credence to the conversation, more credibility. As Scratchy said before, this government has the moral authority to introduce $35 billion, which will amount over a 5-year period to about 175 billion. This government has the credibility and the moral authority to introduce that tax, but in the context of a budget that is $1.4 trillion, with this 35 billion being round about 2.35%, somewhere there. Don't hold me to the exact number. No, we are forgetting something. I raised the issue for consideration, I think it was yesterday, while we were in the discussion, that the vexation that you see coming out of the opposition and their surrogates is because monies will not be borrowed on the local capital market. Remember, you know, neighbor, the global community already lend the government maybe 90% of what the government needs for the reconstruction, you know, 6.7 billion. Because remember, out of the 6.7 billion, I think it was only 12 million that was grants. So the rest will be loans. The government already have a considerable amount of loans to pay back, 6.odd billion US dollars. So it's not that there won't be any borrowing, you know. There is just a little portion. The overall damage was estimated to be 8.8 billion. And you get 6.7. It means that 1.3 left for plug, which amounts to about 200 and something billion Jamaican dollars. And even out of that amount, the government have decided that they will get funding from elsewhere, but they only need to put a small amount of tax on some items that only some people with some bad habits use anyway. No. We have position in the context of a $10 go on pan soda. And if a $10 go on pan soda, let us have the conversation in that context. And if a $5 go on pan craving, moving it from $17 to $22, then let us have the conversation in that context. And so, as I said last night, Ralston Nyman is the only voice out there with a few goons of the PNP trumpeting some nonsense, because even a PNP farmer candidate who lost an election 4 or 5 months ago, as a professional economist, he cannot go down that road. Especially when him turn up in a parliament and I read sitting and go up and blah, 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 blah already, and his credibility is in question. He cannot hemorrhage any further. So he has to have the conversation as a professional in the field, in the context of the reality of the situation. And as Andrea said,
I didn't get what he said from you. He's
basically Andrea said, this is the road. I don't know if you hear me. I go through one little spot here. You not hear me?
You broke up there now, but coming back.
Are you there, neighbor?
Now. I'm here now. Yes, sir.
Right. So Andrea Horton basically said, this is the road the government had to take. There was no other road, and this really is nothing to cry home about. But if you realize, neighbor, the loaded statement disguised as a question,
yes,
by that entity that I told you last year to do research, and you will see that a deal was signed by Mark Golding and CVM down at Arnett Garden. And once you're in a Mark Golding pocket, then the rest is history. It had to be that had to be said. Andre Horton realized what it was that was said, and he told the professional line, as Harry said.
But let me play it back for the listeners, because it is interesting and should be,
as you look at it,
should be exposed. Here is it.
Over about $30 million, 2% of the kind of damage that we saw thanks to Hurricane Melissa, giving us 50 years if we use this alone as a way of paying it off. Is this about reconstruction, or is the government using Hurricane Melissa as a convenient political cover to fix the structural deficit they're already facing?
No, let's
hold on, protect it. Harry?
Well,
was the government facing a fiscal deficit?
It wasn't in terms for that term in which you use, neighbor. But we know there's going to be some in terms of any shortfall as we do the recovery and rebuild, which is what we don't want to have. So the government would have technically been addressing it.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that if we did not have a hurricane, that the government would have raised taxes?
They wouldn't, neighbor.
They would not.
I think they would have found other ways to induce further growth by, allowing the people of Jamaica to have a little bit more freedom to ensure there's further liquidity and also stimulation throughout the economy.
Then why would one be suggesting that somehow the government is using, and let me ask you a question. Based on the revenue the government is raising from the taxes, is that sufficient to influence the fiscal deficit?
Neighbor, that is not even a drop in the bucket. That is like a rain droplet in the ocean compared to what is required for our recovery.
Neighbor, remember, the deficit is going to be about 280 billion. But her statement has no merit, because guess what? There was Hurricane Beryl, the government never raised no tax. There was COVID, government never raised no tax. And COVID sucked out quite a chunk of the value of the economy. The government never raised no tax. After Hurricane Beryl, there was Tropical Storm Raphael that did some damage, and then the floodings. The government never raised no tax. So our argument can't hold water.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Something as well, protecting. I hear a little murmur regarding, comparing Melissa to COVID in and around a little space. And I want to address it because it's two total different disaster and risk management that is required, right? COVID actually slowed down or put a halt to production and so on. It didn't do what Melissa did. Melissa put a halt and structural damage. So there's twice the level of things. So it's not that, you know, everything is on a pause per se. And the thing about it is that the world was on a pause. The difference with Melissa is that the world is moving and we can't, because we've lost 41% of our GDP. We've lost a portion of our production and productivity area of Jamaica, which is critical, right? Our number 2 baby on the list, which is tourism, would have been greatly affected. Yes, it's bouncing back slowly but surely. Because if we look at the minister right now, he's in Africa, touring Kenya and so on, and signing agreements. A lot of people don't know that, right? But it is two total different things. Why we can't compare and contrast them as that little section I'm hearing murmuring about.
Yes, because they're still trying to find the clay mud where can stick. So when they throw it to the smooth surface, they keep throwing stuff around, hoping that something will stick. Remember, in a neighbor, the local government election is due next year, February. The opposition cannot afford to lose them 402,000, even though I buy 175,000 of them. They cannot afford to lose that number. So they have to keep them interesting in the politics. They have to keep them fired up, because they're not going to have that amount of money next year if they have that by-election, pun intended.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can pick up this caller before she gets hello caller. Karine Ellis. Is the caller? Hello, Karine.
She needs to unmute her mic. Karine, could you please unmute your microphone, please?
Okay, she's gone. Let me jump up back to Scratchy. I'm coming back to you guys. Scratchy, tell me something, Scratchy. The government was on a roll. 10 years of no new taxes. And within that time, Scratchy, a number of improvements, employment, reduction in crime, infrastructure, poverty. Do you think that the people of Jamaica will bear that in mind, even as they look at what the government is attempting to do now, and also have in the back of their minds that we had a very devastating hurricane? Do you think that the memory of our people do we have the capacity to think like that?
No, neighbor, I don't, not to a great extent, neighbor. These are Jamaicans, neighbor. These are Jamaicans. They suffer from short-term memory, neighbor. These people only look at what is going on right now and what they see before their eyes right now, neighbor. What you did for them 2, 3, 4 years ago, they don't care about that. They can't see what is going on right now, neighbor. That's just so sorry, neighbor. But that's how Jamaicans are, and that's how Jamaicans think. That is why the opposition, neighbor, can use these optics, neighbor, and gain and feel that they are gaining some form of traction or anything, because there's not anyone, neighbor, who's going to look at them and say, but Mr. Opposition, this is the same government.
Go ahead.
Yes, they're not going to come and say, Mr. Opposition, this is the same government that gave a over $200 billion increase to the public sector wage increase. This is the same government that cut unemployment from 13% to 3.5%. This is the same government that cut poverty in half. This is the same government who introduced Spark program and the biggest road development project in the history of Jamaica, $40 billion. It's the same government that have over 100 water projects going on at once, neighbor. They're not going to do those type of things. The same government, neighbor, that have about 4 or 5 hospitals being refurbished, health clinics being refurbished, new hospitals being built. They're not going to look at those things, neighbor. All they see, neighbor, is what is being done right now. It's just this tax. And that is what they just hear the word tax, neighbor, and they're just running with it. And the opposition is using this word, neighbor, to create hate, mayhem, and to create some form of fear among the citizens, because this is a word, neighbor, that Jamaicans have become fearful of this word tax as a result of the People's National Party. It's the PNP why Jamaicans are afraid of this word. And it is just so sad and unpatriotic, neighbor, that there is no same PNP coming again, neighbor, and trying to amplify this word to cause some fear again amongst our people. And I just want the person to understand, neighbor, that it's a total different time, neighbor. This tax package is totally different from before. And it is not something, neighbor, that again majority of Jamaicans will suffer from, neighbor. It is something that is protecting J.A. said, persons who suffer from bad habits, neighbor. Those are the ones who smoke. Those are the ones who rely heavily on alcohol and stuff like that. And I can definitely tell you, neighbor, that We are not going to see a reduction in the sale of alcohol. We are not going to see a reduction in the sale of cigarettes as a result of this tax, neighbor. This is Jamaica, neighbor. And they just ball over things for the first 5 weeks or 5 days or 9 days wonder. And after, neighbor, I can tell you that after this budget presentation, everything is back to normal. I can definitely tell you that, neighbor. You're not going to see a decrease. You see it on the PNP, neighbor. Whenever PNP introduced taxes on us, neighbor, back in the 90s, neighbor, we didn't see as a result, neighbor, a decrease in the consumption of whatever goods or services they applied those taxes on, neighbor. We didn't see that. And Jamaica is not where it was at that time. We're in more in a better financial situation right now. So definitely, neighbor, I don't see a decrease in neighbor in persons buying alcohol or cigarette or anywhere where these taxes are living, neighbor. Jamaicans are gonna still support these things, neighbor, and just understand that that's how it is. We all have to chip in. But the PNP is just trying to create some fear mongering among the citizen, neighbor, to get them to rally against the government as they have always done before. But I don't see it causing any big problem.
Listen to your friend, Hales.
You heard me out there day in and day out explaining to the people the high cost of living in this country, Jamaica land we love. And on the other side, you heard, don't stop the prosperity, third term loading, and something have been loading. And that's the high taxes you will now pay.
Isn't that this honest, Scratchy? Something is loading is a high taxes you will now pay. Who is going to pay these high taxes?
Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to say to you, neighbor, that Mr. Hales, neighbor, is someone, neighbor, who whenever this guy comes out and speaks publicly, neighbor, this guy is someone who something have to wonder, this guy is a politician, how come this guy is sitting in our parliament, neighbor? This guy don't have any form of sense in terms of how we talk, neighbor. This guy is just a guy, neighbor. He's just an empty barrel, you know. And I would definitely attach mongrel to him, not just disrespect him as I say, but just pure about neighbor, no substance, and trying to mislead persons, neighbor, and make persons believe that.
Yeah, but this need a very strong response, you know, Scratchy. This is wrong, man. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong to put out there. I'm very concerned about our people in a Scratchy and how they receive information, you know, and that they're we are 2026, man. This is wrong,
where
man.
journalism. This is where journalism feel, neighbor. You are someone, neighbor, who you always say that the media is the fourth one. What you always call it?
The fourth column. The fourth column.
You always said, neighbor, that the media is the fourth column, neighbor. And this is where I think the media has failed Jamaicans, neighbor, miserable, neighbor. Because when Mr. Hayes come out and make rhetoric like these, neighbor, these are not things for the media to just try to broadcast, just a news bite or stuff.
No,
like
sir.
It's supposed to challenge Mr. Hayes and I'm rhetoric, neighbor, and make Mr. Hayes understand that this is what should happen and that can happen. So when I see media houses, neighbor, I think media, neighbor, the fourth column, the media in Jamaica, is very poor, neighbor, and they are failed society, neighbor. Politicians alone, neighbor, cannot just come out and be solely responsible for the dissemination of information. Politicians put the information out there, neighbor, and put the facts out there, neighbor, and it's for media and other respectable and persons, neighbor, to go out and spread the message and spread the good news and clear up the myth and set the facts straight. And in this case, neighbor, the media has failed us miserably, neighbor, miserable, because no journalist, anyone who put a mic in front of Mr. Hales, and Mr. Hales takes these things out of his mouth, Mr. Hales should be challenged. Mr. Hales should be challenged, neighbor. Mr. Hales is not in the production. Mr. Hales doesn't run any company, neighbor, that offers sweet drinks, alcohol, or cigarette. So Mr. Hales cannot just come out and blatantly say that high taxes on the backs of Jamaican.
Yeah.
You don't know how the taxes are going to come out at the end of the day. You don't know how much of the taxes these companies might say that based on the fact that they're running a business and the government has given them 10 years of no new taxes. You don't know how much of these taxes these companies can say, okay, we can absorb this amount of this tax and we're going to only pass on this amount to our consumers. So you cannot just jump out and say things like that. You have to just wait and just watch and see where these taxes fall, neighbor.
Yeah.
And Scratchy,
yeah.
Well, and
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It is going to be very important. A matter of fact, I am going to find the time throughout the budget debate, especially the presentation of the minister and the prime minister. Because I know that this season, the parliament is going to be a theater.
Uh-huh.
And it is going to be a theater of madness on one side. We're sure about that already. But I hope the prime minister and the JLP are reading correctly into this situation. And they are preparing to come. Them don't have to be like how Nigel Clark was. But they need even in a dramatical way, to keep the interest of the Jamaican people while they explain in details how we are going to move forward. Because if they don't, then whatever Julian Robinson and Mark Golding will be putting forward will last on the minds of the Jamaican people. And so the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, they have a job on their hands, and they must be preparing in the deepest sense to make sure that they present the whole truth and nothing but the truth, the facts, but also present it in a way to capture the attention of the Jamaican people so that they can understand what this thing is about, where we're going, and how we're going. And what do I mean, neighbor? I mean, just as how I envision communication with our people. Tell this somebody where buy the soda and who still a go buy it. Say only $10, $15 go on panning. Tell them say just $5 go on pan the cigarette. Because if you leave that gap and if you leave that space, the PNP are going to manipulate everything and mislead the people of Jamaica.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm coming to you, my analyst Harry. Hold on. But Scratchy and Winston, listen further to Hales, how crafty he is. Listen to him as he communicates to the little man. You know, Jamaicans love their little white rum, Scratchy.
Exactly, but I definitely know that. But again,
and they love their two little cigarettes. So listen to him before you comment.
So I'm going to do a simple breakdown so each and every one of you understand it. So let's say you leave work after work and you decide to have a drink. You decide to have, a little white rum and Pepsi, or white rum and Coke, or you drink white rum with whatever. You're in the line to pay some more taxes also.
All right, Scratchy.
If you deal with your stress...
Hold on. The first thing I want to say that in terms of marketing and communicating, that is very good, because it is storytelling. It creates a narrative to tell the story. Although the story is a lie and it is false and it is fear-mongering. But you realize, Scratchy, that they are very good at deceiving people.
They are very good at deceiving people, neighbor, but at the same time, neighbor, I want persons to also understand, neighbor, that Mr. Hayes is also doing us a favor as well, neighbor. He's outlining that his cigarette is the tax going to go on. His people who drink from the tax is going to go on. His people who take sweet drinks, the tax is going to go on.
But the man will buy him little rum is now going to think that, by God, I may not be able to afford me drink. Or somehow the government is putting taxes on me. That's the point,
But neighbor.
Yes, neighbor, but I want to tell the next thing again to Jay, neighbor, in the context of Jamaica, neighbor. That's why I'm telling you, neighbor, that whatever the PNP are coming, it's not going to work, neighbor. I can definitely tell you that.
But neighbor, notice
everything in Jamaica. Everything in Jamaica, neighbor, is already overpriced. Neighbor, any bar you go buy rum, it's already overpriced. Any bar or store they go buy a cigarette, it's already overpriced, neighbor. And I can tell you that whatever price is leveled back on these people, neighbor, it is gonna sell the same way, neighbor. The PNP, there's no win in this situation for the PNP. No win-win situation for them, neighbor. None.
Notice who is communicating, neighbor. Notice who is communicating and at what level this communication, even though it is all lies.
A vice president, but he's a vice president.
Okay. So I want us to understand that marketing also, why you think them use athletes and them use prominent people in marketing. And that is the reason why my bone has always been with the level at which the JLP communicate. Because if you're going to counter, you can't just leave the vloggers to do that. I am virtually unknown.
Yes.
And so you need somebody with national prominence and national profile to counter these things. And if we continue, and again, it can't just be Apka and Marlon. While Marlon speak to the little man, me really don't know who Apka speak to. I must speak to Michael the Archangel up in the clouds. But at the end of the day, as you say, it is very skilled marketing. You're telling a story. You're talking to the little man with a peg. So you need the counter to tell a story, but from that level 2, a position of influence, and also somebody who is relatable to make the little man understand that, listen, that is all nonsense that you heard yesterday or this morning. You know? And I just wanted to highlight that.
And I don't think protecting that the person who is going to get that impact, because we have to look at Jamaica, and Jamaica look at things from a political standpoint. Every single policy that comes out of the government, it is being looked at with orange and green. Persons who are support the green are in tangent, are in support of whatever the government is doing. Persons who support the orange are against whatever the government is doing. So whatever information is coming out, it has somewhere where it falls with the orange and it falls with the green. Now, if the Prime Minister and government members should come out, yes, they're going to come out and they're going to say what Mr. Hales is saying is totally rubbish. Who's that going to resonate with? The orange man not going to buy into that with the Prime Minister say. You can't tell the orange man that. You cannot tell the orange man that. We need persons who consider themselves to the economists, persons who consider themselves to the journalists, and well-thinking persons. And those are the persons we need to come out and speak from a position of, from a position of balance or a position of neutrality, and speak and speak fair and speak factual and say, this is the case, what is going on, because we want to believe it or not in a protected. No matter what the Prime Minister say, all who support Mr. Hales, they are listening to what Mr. Hales says, and nothing what the Prime Minister can change their mind.
If we have 40%, upwards of 40% of our population who they might vote on the issues, them call them the people in the middle, undecided. So since Mr. Hales is talking to orange, and since the JLP will be talking to green, who is going to speak to those people in the middle? Not even with them not going to listen to, you know.
Let me tell you about the people in the middle now protecting. Those people in the middle protecting are persons who have a certain caliber, educational level, and financial understanding, who operates, who knows how the economy works. Mr. Yes can't treat them people there. Mr. Yes, that's why the PNP not gaining any form of traction protecting, because they're only relatable to the people who they can trick.
You make me a laugh. Me know somebody right now with two what they call it? Two degrees.
Yeah, but that's not the majority. That's not the majority.
But you're talking about educational level, and I know somebody with 2 degrees now who say direct tax is the Prime Minister higher than tax people. Indirect tax. Direct tax is GCT. Indirect tax is the Prime Minister higher than tax people. Come on.
That person support the PNP. I can't tell you that. That person is not a neutral person. That person support the PNP.
Them not so bright still, so we have to still explain
that person
to them
support the PNP.
Terms.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump down to Winston. Winston. Yeah. Phil Don. We want to get back to the discussion. Hello, sir.
So give me a minute. Just a minute. I'm finishing up something.
Well, I don't understand why he would need that. He would need a minute. Okay. Miss Moderator, is there anybody else before I start to drill down some things with these guys?
Yes, neighbor.
Can get a little lengthy.
Yes, we have Paul last name.
Good evening to you, sir.
Hi, good evening, sir. I have one request, please.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask your personal assistant, Miss Caroline, to free me up. My other name is Insufficient Funds, and she has banned me from a very prolific, Miss Caroline, could you please do that? Unban me, please. Unblock me, please.
Well, if you promise not to be so controversial in the comments.
I will not do that. I promise. I sincerely promise. I sincerely promise.
Okay.
Insufficient Funds is my name. Could you kindly?
Man, need an XP to come back.
Okay.
Hold on there, sir. Don't move. Oh, what a oh. I'm sorry, sir. Wow, you can't. So Paul last name?
Yes, sir.
Why can't you access the program as you are doing it now? Since you still have access.
My other profile is the most prominent of all.
Yeah.
I rarely use Mr. Last Name as my profile on TikTok.
So what type of misbehavior you were having on the program? So till the moderator
I don't know. I was commenting. I'm the person who always comment on Dr. Nigel Clark's achievement, being nominated to the retained by the International Monetary Fund as a deputy leader of that organization. So I'm pro Jamaica Labour Party. I don't understand why Miss Perrier, that's her last name, I'm not sure, would seek to ban me from the political.
You're a pro Labour Party support. Hold on there, Papi sir. Let me ask you if you know that song. If you know that song, Sing it for me.
I am not sure if I know that song.
Equal rights and justice is our everlasting song. Unity and progress will make a nation strong.
Stand up for your rights.
Stand up for your rights and hear the bell. Remember, Buster Man to serve you well.
Yes.
Stand up, Jamaicans, when you hear the bell.
You should have known that. You should have known the anthems. You're not a Labour right then.
Oh, I voted on it 3 times in my entire career.
No, yeah, you don't have to tell us. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
First one was 1980.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. Well,